Good morning. It is 7:24 a.m. on Monday, March 7th, 2022. I'm Christiana Ellis and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. Just got up is technically the second time I just got up because it was another morning where I had a little dog wake me up extra early and then felt like I needed to go back and get a little bit more sleep. And then I did. And then I got up. So that's the story, I guess. So, for some reason, before I started telling it, I thought it would be more interesting than that. Turns out, no, not so much. Anyway, last night I watched Drive My Car, which is one of the uh, Oscar nominated films that I watched for our 2022 Oscar Marathon. Drive My Car is a Japanese film and is nominated for both, or not just both, but for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Foreign Language Film from Japan, because it is from Japan. Although it actually has, not it's primarily Japanese, but one of the plot points in it is an interesting approach to theater where it was a little bit hard to tell, but my impression is that they had not only English speakers but Korean speakers and even a woman who speaks only with Korean Sign Language, all putting on a play where they're each speaking their own language and then displayed on a screen behind them as they speak is the subtitles for all of them. So the idea that they're doing a play where ostensibly in the story of the play everyone is speaking the same language but the performers are all speaking different languages. I think that's what was happening. The only reason it's a little bit unclear is that when, for example, I can't necessarily easily tell the difference between Japanese and Korean just hearing it when there's subtitles. But I think that's what was happening. That's not really like the point of the story. It was an interesting little detail of a way to put on a play that I thought was interesting. The actual story of the movie, part of what happens relatively early on, well, relatively early on. It should be noted that this is a movie where the opening credits roll 40 minutes in, which is kind of amazing. I'm not even saying that as a criticism. I can't think of a movie that beats that. The movie is primarily about this guy who has been well regarded as an actor, especially with kind of a signature role as Uncle Vanya in the play of Anton Chekhov's Uncle Vanya, and he's also just well regarded in the theater world. Like he's asked to serve on juries for workshops and like judging juries, not like criminal juries, but like judging panels is I guess what I mean for contests and that sort of thing, awards, and so he is a guy that for a variety of reasons that I won't get into, but are not left unclear, tends to keep a lot of his emotions very close to the chest, which is in some ways something that kind of interferes with his work a little bit, but he's still working and doing what he can. And one of the big plot points, though, is that he finds a lot of personal solace and escape in driving around in his car, and in particular, he has a recording where he can run his lines. He has it on a tape. It plays all of the dialogue except for the Uncle Vanya part, so that he can say it right. And so it's a technique to learn lines. But so like that's a very personal routine for him. But when he accepts this residency to put on a production of a new play, they tell him that it's the rules, that he has to have a driver, like that he's not allowed to do it himself while he's working with them, and it's like a liability thing. And he's annoyed, but has to basically accept it that this young woman is assigned to drive his car, right? And so it's it, it's a long movie, and it's primarily just a human drama in this way. You know, it's not an action thriller or anything like that. There's no real other high concept to it, but it is a lovely movie about, control of your emotions in both a positive and negative way, and the ability to, like the double-edged sword of being able to keep your emotions in check. And I thought that, and it's really good. I mean, so the thing is, I feel like there are a lot of people who won't watch it at all because it's 3 hours long and because it's in Japanese. And I think that's a shame. I think that it's very good, but you have to be patient with it because just by its nature, in terms of what the story is, you have a lot of people kind of not necessarily saying or expressing carefully how they feel, and us having to kind of infer how they must feel given the circumstances, but having it all kind of come into play and all being kind of paralleled, and with this, the story of Uncle Vanya, which is being put on as a play, and we keep hearing the lines from it, which incidentally, one of the themes of that is the idea of, is someone wasting their life, right? And there's lots of other parallel themes in there, and I think it's really interesting. And so it's certainly, not going to be something that a lot of people will watch, probably, but I hope more people will watch it as a result of these awards. And I thought it was really interesting, and I'm glad I watched it. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow for 5 more minutes.